welcome to another episode of Spiral Out Podcast. I'm your host, Chris West. Well, it's been a long time since I've released an episode. A lot of changes going on. A lot of this, a lot of that. None of your concern. Anyways, on today's show, we have Dan Dippel, a.k.a. 1000 Styles. And he truly does have 1000 styles. Check him out on his Instagram. Look up his art. Do all that great stuff. He was a great guy. He sent me a great poster for the first leg tour with a nice little doodle on it. And his second leg poster came out, and I think was even better. Look out for that. Not everyone, but some of you may or may not have seen the article that came out about me and Tool posters and the podcast. It was mostly liked. Some of you liked it. Some of you really didn't like it, which is fine. I don't mind. Reddit people are mean. But nonetheless, some questions from that article, or at least after on Reddit, were: 1, am I mentally ill? Probably. 2, do I have a poster addiction? Most certainly do. Am I a true Tool fan? I don't know. It's a weird question. What makes a Tool fan a true Tool fan? Like, is there a time limit? Do I have to have so much merchandise? Do I have to have like a 1992 demo tape? Or can I just like them and listen to them and have fun being a part of the community that also does those things? I don't know if that's enough. For some people, it's not. Nonetheless, I hope you enjoy this episode. Dan Dippel, 1000 Styles, was a great guy. I hope you enjoy more podcasts to come, and I hope you enjoyed the article. Spiral out. Yeah, how's it going?
Doing good. How are you?
Good. You're Dan, right?
Yes, sir. That's me.
It took me a little bit of research to find out your real name.
Yeah, sorry about that. I have a few different names floating around there.
First of all, thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
Super awesome of you. You know, it's funny. I have like a stutter. I have like a stutter, and I pause while talking a lot. So God knows why I started a podcast. I'm Chris, by the way.
Good to meet you.
Yeah, here we go. So hello, everyone, and welcome to Spiral Out Podcast. Our guest today is Dan Dippel.
You got it.
He is also known as 1000 Styles, and he did Pucifer's poster for Boston, right?
Yes. Yep.
June 20th. Let's start there. Was this your first Pucifer poster you did?
Yes.
You also did the T-shirt that a lot of people bought.
Yeah. The T-shirt was actually done like 2 years ago when they were first doing like the preparations for this tour. But then, you know, like all the other tours, they got canceled and postponed and whatever. So the T-shirt graphic was just kind of had been done for a long time, but finally the tour restarted and it was able to be used. So I was able to post it and, you know, kind of show it off. The poster itself was later on, much more recent. I think I did the artwork in April, early May. So definitely a much more current representation of, you know, I guess my interpretation of the band or whatever.
I went through your blogs, like from like 2010, and just trying to see,
Oh, wow.
just trying to see your progression of, like, you know, I don't know what year you started, but that's when your blog started, and just trying to see like how you moved up and what were the first things. But you did a lot of T-shirts first, right? Is what I'm guessing. So again, starting with this T-shirt, what was your process like? Did you listen to the music? What did you do research on the band?
Kind of all of the above. The people I was working for directly, I never worked directly for the band members.
Sure.
With this kind of thing, but the merchandising people I was working with, they kind of gave me just a general set of topics for art direction that the band was going to be kind of centering their tour around, the aliens, alien abduction, the whole Billy D sort of saga, I guess, the events surrounding his life and what he's up to, and kind of men in black, women in black, the whole, that whole sort of, aesthetic, I guess, not aesthetic, but sort of set of topics or whatever. And they said anything along those lines, just kind of do what you want to do. And so, yeah, just came up with some sketches kind of along those lines and submitted them. And they ended up choosing the one that I did, obviously, sort of an immaculate conception sort of idea, I guess. Found some old immaculate conception sort of artworks and kind of tied in the Billy D alien sort of thing all together. And as far as process goes, those are pencil sketches. They approved the idea, the concept, the whole sort of composition. The final line work was done digitally in Procreate on my iPad, and then I block in color for this one anyway. I block in color at that point too. After I finish the line work, separate layers for blocking in color, and then I take the whole thing to Photoshop to tweak colors, make some final adjustments to line work, and then add textures and sort of finishing elements like the sacred geometry that's in the background. Added that stuff in Photoshop, and that's about it.
So the sacred geometry in the back, did you pick those shapes specifically for any reason?
Not in terms of their meanings. They just were good for the composition.
Sure. So this wasn't. This was always meant to be a T-shirt.
Yes.
Cool.
Yep.
I got one somewhere. I got on on this tour.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. As for
I hope it printed well. I've never seen them in print.
I mean the
T-shirt?
the
T-shirt. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen an actual photo of the the actual T-shirt, but that's not unusual. Yeah. Sometimes I submit the artwork and never see the final product.
After the interview, I'll find one. I'll find it and take a picture and show you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. As for let's move on to the poster. I'm guessing it's the same kind of setup. You sketch out something. Did you have multiple sketches?
Yeah. I normally have 3 or 4 different concepts sketched out for the initial approval, initial review by the merch people.
You got any of those handy that you can show us?
Let me see. I might actually.
I love to see like the original concepts for some of these. I actually have a few fan questions about the poster in general while you're looking. The numbers on the hand watch, those mean anything?
Yeah, they're my kids' birthdays, actually.
Oh, that's awesome.
You're the first person that's actually even noticed that, including my wife.
Really?
So that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These and believe me, it wasn't me who noticed it originally. I posted on Facebook I was going to talk to you on my podcast page, and I always post the poster and go, hey, so and so is going to be on in a couple days. You have any questions about the art? Feel free to shoot me a question and I'll ask them. And
cool.
That was definitely one of them.
Nice.
The other one was what did you draw inside the briefcase?
Oh, that's just like on the underneath his arm, like on the briefcase.
No, like actually inside the briefcase. They're being ridiculous, but they want to know what's inside there.
That's a good question. I don't know about that. I should come up with a cool answer for that question, but I don't know. I guess maybe. Well, I don't know. They never really opened the briefcase in any of the images and videos that I found on the web to do this research for this poster. So your guess is as good as mine.
Right.
But anyways, here's I don't know if you can see this. I think go backwards. I don't know how to share something that's on a screen.
Oh, there you go. I see it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You can kind of tell what it is.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll if I somehow can after the interview, I'll take a screenshot of this sketch and send it to you if you want to use it in.
Oh, I would love that. I usually post.
Somehow put it up so it looks better.
Yeah, when I post the episodes around, I do like a little link, and there's 10 or so photos that I'll attach with it to just so they know what we're talking about. That kind of leads me to my next question about some of your stuff. Not all artists do this, but I'm pretty sure you do this. You sell the line work sometimes afterwards, right?
Yeah, sometimes.
Is that hard to do?
I do. Hard to sell it,
Well, I mean,
or
it's hard to let it go.
Oh, yeah, it is in a lot of cases, but it's the kind of thing like, I really like this piece of art. I've spent countless hours putting this line work together and creating this. A lot of times they're full size, 18 by 24, ink on paper, and I spend, days and days grinding with a pen and ink and putting that together. It's great that I still have it, but it's just going to sit in a flat file someplace, and I'll rarely look at it. I'd rather it go to somebody who's going to really enjoy it, maybe frame it, put it up on their wall, show it to people, and then of course, make some money off it too to add to the bottom line of the poster as a whole. So that tends to win out these days. But I do have quite a lot of pen and ink originals sitting over on the side of my studio over here. So it's kind of both.
It's like bittersweet. Like I spent a lot of time. This
Yeah.
is awesome. I want to keep it, but I run a business. And
Right, exactly. I love doing this. I love what I do, and that's why I do it. But at the end of the day, I do need to pay bills and stuff, and selling the originals really, that usually wins out in the end.
again, going through your blog, it just seems like you kind of bootstrapped it from the beginning. There's some graffiti art in the beginning, I'm guessing, and doing a lot of DJ
Yep.
posters. And can you kind of talk on like how you came up and like how you cultivated, your style and where you came up with the name?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's I've been doing this for a while now, probably about 20 years, on a professional level, more or less. It's for me, it was never like, all right, graduate college with an illustration degree and go after the gate poster scene. There was a lot in between where I'm at now and where I started. Back in the early days, I was super into graffiti, super into like J culture, hip hop, as well as as well as lots of other styles of music. But visually, my focus in the beginning was t-shirt graphics for bands and album art. Music has always been a huge part of my life, so it's always been. I've always known that I've wanted to tie my visual art into music somehow and have the two be related. So in the early days, it was like promotional flyers for raves, promotional materials for bands, like kind of flyers, graffiti related stuff, skateboards. I've always wanted to do album art and t-shirt graphics. So that was kind of my goal at the beginning. But, it was a lot of work and it was hard, especially back then, to get things noticed. So it was just been, a consistent grind for the last 20 years. And eventually it got to the point where, I think I did my first gig poster in 2014. So around that time was when I kind of became aware of the whole gig poster thing. I did one, I think my first one was for Primus.
That was your first big
one? And yeah, that was the first wow, Primus is a big band, I get to do big artwork. It's kind of a special thing, the whole limited edition aspect of it. And it all just kind of like all of a sudden was like this is where I want to be. There's a whole kind of a collector aspect to it. Poster is kind of, I don't know, like a lot of people go, they collect not just posters for a band that they like, but they also can collect, they can collect posters from an artist they like. And that for me has never been the case prior to gig posters. Like it was always like, great, I get to do this graphic for this band or this project for whatever, and it was always fun. It was always good art, good artwork to be able to do, and I was always appreciative of every single project I ever get. But it was never, gig posters just feel kind of elevated to me, like in a way, like it's kind of like top shelf work, I guess, and that's always it's really nice to be able to do that.
I 100% agree with you. I've never been a collector until recently, like anything. I've always, liked the bands I liked artists here and there, and loved comic books. Never really collected them, but
Mm-hmm.
A friend of mine exposed me to, posters and again, how they're limited. And, if you follow X amount of bands, each individual show has a different poster and yada, yada, yada. And I don't know what it hit. It hit some nerve that just never had been hit for me before. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been hooked ever since, to the point where I'm doing this now, talking to you. And it does
Yeah.
feel like elevated. Like I have friends that collect. My girlfriend collects his lunch boxes. I mean, we have 500 lunch boxes all around our house. I mean, I got friends that collect mugs. I don't know. I'm a little pompous. I'm like, I collect gig posters. Do you know that this artist? I'm talking. I'm talking to 1,000 Styles today. What are you doing at your Sunday? Anyways, I'm not really that egotistical, but but I mean, it just feels a little bit different than like other merchandise, in my opinion. Like
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
it's a piece of art. I know you spent a lot of time on it. Not everybody gets one. And it
Yeah.
also includes a band that I really enjoy. I mean, it kind of just
Right.
hits
Yeah.
a few different levels that I think
Yeah.
some things don't hit.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I've done a lot of different T-shirt graphics for different bands. A lot of bands, a lot of graphics for a lot of bands that I listen to on a daily basis, and it's like a dream come true. But gig posters is like that plus more, somehow, and it just is a great thing to be able to do, and I'm thankful that at that point and being able to enjoy gigs like this now, and I don't know, it's awesome. But and also about the name, you asked me where the name came from. Back in my graffiti days, I I wrote underneath one of my pieces a long time ago. This was back in like the late '90s. I used to, a lot of graffiti writers will do kind of similar letters every time they go out, different colors or slight variations, but it's the same kind of general look to their pieces.
Sure.
And I always wanted to do something completely different every single time. So at some point, I wrote underneath one of my pieces, "Man of a Thousand Styles," and it just kind of stuck with me from there. And eventually, it became sort of an alias, even past the graffiti days or whatever. So it's just something that stuck with me.
Out of like all the different names I've heard with artists over the years, that's definitely one of my favorites. Um, it just you immediately know, like, oh shit. And then again, going through your blog and different things, you can see like you could do painting and you can do comic art and gig posters and T-shirts and have DJ culture stuff over here and doing metal shit over here, and you're like,
Yeah,
fucking
yeah,
hey, he does have 1,000 styles. um,
yeah. I've always kind of taken pride in that, being able to switch things up, but still have it be my own. I guess.
so that Pucifer poster, that first one, I'm pretty sure I know which one you're talking about. It's like a vehicle of some kind,
Being
and
Primus.
yeah, the first one you did. It's like
Yeah,
some crazy vehicle and the guy inside, and it's like a hot rod type deal.
yep,
Um,
yep.
I in your blog you mentioned you think Zoltan, right? That's his name.
Zoltron. Yeah,
Zoltan. He's like
yeah,
a huge poster artist. Can you explain
yeah.
why you thanked him? Like how maybe that helped you get into the poster gig scene?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. He's the one who gave me that job. He was curating the Primus poster series at the time, which I think he did several years in a row. I don't think he does anymore, but at that time he was the one choosing all the artists for all the posters that the band was putting out for all their tours. And I I believe he contacted me to ask me if I wanted to do one, and of course, I had already been a fan of his for a while.
Sure.
And I knew he did the Primus posters, but yeah, he reached out to me, and I think he did anyway. I don't think I contacted him. Although, anyways, yeah, he asked me if I wanted to do the poster. I was like, yeah, of course. And I worked with him to get that poster done. He's so I thanked him for that gig when I posted the artwork when it came out or whatever. And he's been kind of I guess he kind of brought me into or made the whole gig poster scene kind of visible to me. I wasn't really aware of it prior to that. and doing that one poster, and then I kind of got more into it, like looking for other Primus posters, and then finding out other bands are doing the same kind of thing, and
I seen you
so he's kind of responsible for me finding it, the whole gig poster thing.
I seen early on you did a lot of festival posters, and they're all fucking sick, by the way. Again, if you're listening and you haven't gone through Dan or Thousand Styles like blog and seen his history or looked at all the different stuff, I mean, I am terrible at describing people's style and art, but I mean, there's definitely some like comic booky stuff going on and some like I want to say like the Ratfink style sometimes, not all the time.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I get what would you call that style? Like the Ratfink stuff.
Lowbrow,
Yeah.
I think, is kind of the label I would attribute to it.
But there's also this level of, in my opinion, and this is just how describe it. There's this level of class with your stuff that, like it's like you said, has that lowbrow like grittiness, but it's also like weirdly elevated, and like classy in my opinion. Even this Pucifer poster, like you look at it, he's gritty, he's in space. There's a lot going on, but it's like I don't want to say pretty because it's not pretty, but it's classy. I don't know how else to explain it.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean.
It's sharp.
I try
it's clean.
Yeah. I kind of I guess it's just I don't know, like refined filth, I guess.
Perfect. That's the name of the episode now.
I put a lot of effort into making things look dirty and kind of a little bit weathered, but not to the point of being junk or being like too messy where you can't see stuff like line work. Every single speck or piece of dirt or void in a line. I mean, it's all on purpose. It's all done in a very, I guess, purposeful way. So I think that's what you're trying to describe.
Thank you. Thank you for helping.
But yeah, I mean that's kind of what I like to do. It's just I put a lot of effort into making things look quick and dirty and loose, I guess.
What'd you say? Refined dirtiness?
Refined filth?
Refined filth. Yeah, you need to put that on a shirt, bro.
I like that description. That's a good one.
No, it's awesome. Kind of going back to that Pucifer poster, just talking about how you nothing is on accident. But they tell you, hey, you did this T-shirt. I'm guessing now we want you to do a poster. Men in Black, Aliens. Did they ask for the Billy D character?
No. They just gave me that same sort of art direction. The Men in Black alien abduction sort of thing.
So,
and they sent me the links to a few different Pucifer videos that are online, and the one that I really liked and was kind of inspired by was I can't remember what the name of it is now, but the one where Billy D's like, he's running in the desert. He's on that like sort of rocket ship thing flying through the desert. He ends up in the bar with the
Bullet Train to Iowa.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and I watched that through like 4 or 5 times, and I was like, this Billy D guy, he's extremely interesting, both visually and
sure,
just topically, and I wanted to include him in at least one of the concepts I pitched to the merch people I'm working for, and that's the one that they ended up choosing.
Nice. So when you sat down to come up with that concept, you said you had a couple of different concepts. You don't need to show me the different concepts, but again, I'm always curious because I can't draw like at all, like zero drawing skills, zero art skills. Again, why I do a podcast is because I think this is how I can contribute or be a part of at least the conversation. Just even like from posing him and having like things where they're at, like, and not just this poster, any poster you do, it's like, what's the spark? Where do you go? Okay, I got it. Like, does that just come naturally? And you're like, I know I want to do something with Billy. Let's just have him chilling in space. And then I start there. Or You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was. It's kind of like the concept I had in my mind was, all right, Billy D is an astronaut. Maybe getting chased through space by some UFOs, and then I'm like, all right, how do I do that in a way that's visually interesting, appeals to the fans of the band, is going to get posters sold for the band, but also is something that I feel like I can put something of myself into, something that's going to be fun for me to do. So at that point, I started looking for photo reference for the spacesuit. I knew I wanted something that was not like a recent spacesuit, like nothing from the last like 25, 35 years. I just wanted to go the sort of a vintage look for everything in the poster. So I started looking for just photos of old spacesuits, 50s, 60s, early 70s, and found a collection of like 15 different photos that I kind of grabbed bits and pieces from as I was sketching out the concept and the position of Billy D and where the UFOs are in the piece. It just kind of eventually came together in terms of just building a composition that was strong, had good lines, directed your eye in certain places and filled the space nicely without being too busy, and it just all kind of, I revised things until it looks, just has that look, that right look to me.
Are you going to keep your line artwork there, or are you going to sell that one?
That one actually I did entirely digitally, so
Okay.
there is no line work to sell, which is unfortunate. But a lot of times,
for that one, you could have went a little higher on that one than most.
Yeah. I mean, I've had 6 or 7 people ask me if I'm going to sell it, the original line work, and I have to disappoint everybody.
I mean,
but this one there wasn't any.
You could spend a day and draw it up.
Yeah, just redo it just to be able to sell it.
Yeah. I wouldn't be mad at that. Tell you the truth, as a guy who collects things, if you were like, hey, I redrew it, it's up for this much. If you want it, you want it. I'd still be on top of it, and I think other people would as well. I'm just saying.
That's something to think about. Maybe.
So I want to talk about a different poster that's probably one of your more famous posters as well. The Foo Fighters poster that you did that they sold online, the Hamilton, Ontario Samurai poster. That's one of my favorite posters I've ever seen.
Oh wow!
It's so sick. And again, I kind of came into this different than I think a lot of people. Maybe not, but I started with Tool posters, and those are just completely done a different way, and how they pick the artists are all done completely differently than the 20, 30 bands I think that do what Pucifer is doing. Dave Matthews, Primus, Mastodon. You know the big hitters. 311. They all kind of like have these groups of artists that they use, and they all do it a certain way. So, but that Samurai one for some reason just hits differently, and I'm just kind of curious. I don't even ask a lot of artists about other previous posters, but I feel like I had to ask about that one. Just concept and like what was the whole story behind that one because it's just so cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it has any sort of unique story behind it necessarily. I just wanted to do something that was
badass.
Just badass, powerful, visually striking. Just something that really like hit you in the face when you looked at it. That was kind of what I was going for that one. And I love samurais. I love that whole culture. So, and I've never done anything in that direction prior to that. So I kind of went that way, and I wanted to do like an upshot of it to give it that much more impact, I guess, visually. And it was something that I wanted to make look kind of organic, but strong at the same time, I guess. Kind of hard to explain, but
because it definitely
I had a lot of fun doing all the different armor, the horse's armor especially. a lot of fun making it look really dirty. And I've always liked having a big circle in the background on posters. I think that really gives composition a really strong base to go off of, and it just kind of works out nice to have the samurai and the horse kind of coming out at the viewer from the circle. And I don't know, the text, the actual Foo Fighters text was difficult for me. That was probably the hardest decision I made on that poster in terms of like how to do the band's name.
Oh, really? Because
I try to.
it's very cool. I'll post it with this, but it's kind of like, I don't want to say, I don't know, it's like sharp, like comes to points.
Yeah. I ended up having all that space at the bottom underneath, and I wanted to do something that was, again, just visually strong, and tried a bunch of different ways to do it. A bunch of different like typefaces that I've both drawn and digitally, mixing up typefaces, mixing up sizing and angles, and having shadows and no shadows, different colors, and it just was not really working with the main image above, and ended up just getting frustrated and just like drawing real quick with my hand with a big ink pen, and just went just real messy and real drippy, and I was like, wait, I flipped it to white, and it was like, all right, this is it, So I knew what style it was going to be, and I redrew the letters in that style probably 150 times before I got the one that's actually on the poster. But once I had it, I knew it was it, and it just really turned out well. I got a really good reaction on that one. Sold out quick. It was a good one.
So that's kind of what's leading me to my next question is, you're reading your blog, you were like, this is probably, when you posted that one, you stated something around the lines of, this is, one of my most successful posters. It's sold out within a couple days or within the day. And I guess the question I have is, do all your posters do that now? And then compare that to Pucifer fans? Because I'm guessing your Pucifer poster probably sold out in like 3 minutes. Less than.
Yeah, it was like less than a minute. It was really surprising to me. I had sort of an idea that it might go quick because it's kind of like Tool adjacent, and Tool posters sell out instantly no matter what they are. So I was kind of hoping it would be successful, but I didn't really know for sure, but it worked out well. But yeah, not all my posters sell out fast. Some do, some don't. I think it has a lot to do with what band they're for.
Sure.
Mostly. But sometimes I think it also has a lot to do with just, the artwork in general and what band it's for. I'm grateful for every, poster sale that I get. And, all of my posters so far have been more successful than I thought they would be, so I guess I'm happy with, whatever happens. That I just keep them up for sale until they do sell out, and eventually they all do. So
maybe you can,
some are just quicker than others.
Right? One of your first big ones was a Metallica one, right? Too?
Yeah. I think it was last summer. It was for the Black Album reissue.
Was that the same kind of call, like from management or their production or merch management, and any direction on that? Because Metallica posters definitely have a specific theme, it seems like, across the board.
Yeah, so their merch people came to me and asked me to do that. I had done some work for them prior for some other bands, and also for Metallica previously. I did 3 T-shirt graphics for them prior to this poster. So I've got to know their merch people a little bit. They're super nice guys. And actually, I did 2 posters for them prior to this, but they never got released because the shows got postponed or canceled or something. But so this was actually my 3rd Metallica poster. Thankfully, it came out. Art direction they gave me was pretty much whatever you want, as long as it's Metallica related or looks like something that Metallica fans would want.
Don't do tulips.
Yeah, exactly, and they kind of it didn't have to be related. Every poster that came out as part of that Black Album reissue was like geared toward one of the songs, one of the heavier songs on the record. And I Got Nothing Else Matters, and they didn't require the poster subject art to be, in line with the song necessarily, but
if you could, that'd be awesome.
Poster, yeah. And for my poster, it was, it was, there was no question I wanted to do something along the lines of the song and the lyrics and what the whole song meant to the band. I don't think I proposed more than just the one concept to them that time. I just knew what I wanted to do. The concept kind of came to me, pretty much right away, and it was just a matter of articulating it visually.
For those listening, how does that poster relate to the song "Nothing Else Matters"? Like visually, how do you even do that?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. I mean, to take a song that's audio only and make it visual and have it do justice to the song, especially a song that's that
iconic.
I guess. Yeah, it's a lot of pressure. It took me a long time to get to the point where I was happy with it, proud of it. I thought it, did the song justice. I just wanted it to be something that was beautiful and dark at the same time, because that's kind of how I feel about the song. I've been a Metallica fan since 1987, so doing something for this band period is amazing. Doing something for something as big as the Black Album reissue was just like incredible. So I wanted to make sure I, brought my A game, so to speak. So it took me a long time to come up with a way to articulate the concept visually that kind of did the song justice. And the whole Art Nouveau thing, I've always been a fan. Alphonse Mucha is one of my favorite artists of all time. Sort of that Art Nouveau vintage sort of feel, but have it tie into the song lyrics at the same time. It just ended up being, kind of a perfect storm, I guess. I don't know if do you know, like what the concept is behind the poster, sort of? Have you?
No, I haven't.
I don't think I posted that.
No, you didn't. That's kind of where I was getting to, and if you can give me a moment, I'd like to bring it up.
Yeah, it was just kind of the song, the original song lyrics deal with James's kind of just his, being out on tour, being away from his girlfriend at the time, how he dealt with that, sort of long distance relationship, how to keep that intact, how to keep that successful, and how, the distance doesn't matter. Nothing matters aside from, the love he had for her and her for him. So I wanted to kind of take that sort of concept, but instead of a distance divide between the two people in the relationship, it's instead of a distance divide in my poster, I wanted to do like a class divide, and going with the whole vintage late 19th, early 20th century sort of Art Nouveau look.
Sure.
The two people are, the man is like from a, extremely poor working class background, and the woman is very upper class, high social status.
I see that now.
But they're in love anyway, and that love is all that matters. They're, the challenges that they would have faced at that time, being from drastically different social classes, would have been very tough to overcome, if not, impossible. And I felt it was a good sort of, I guess, analogous way to express the concept of those song lyrics and do it in a visually interesting way.
It makes it so much more interesting to hear it because, again, I've looked at this poster probably, I don't know, 15 times in the last day, just doing research on you and looking at all your stuff.
Yeah.
And I am embarrassed to say I did not see the clasp thing,
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I'm sure you're not alone in that. It's, not something that is, put right out there. I wanted it to be there, but it doesn't have to be, shoved into the viewer's face. It's just there for when they do find it or look into it or whatever.
And I'm now noticing the circle too, just like the Foo Fighters poster.
That base circle.
Yeah.
I love it. It just brings a lot of strength to the image.
And you can, like I said, you can play with it. Like he's coming from this side, she's coming from that side. The circle, brings them together, and it really is striking. And do you have names for these two?
Yeah. No, I don't think I've ever thought about that.
Fair enough.
I don't know. I guess maybe it's better if they don't have names. They can just kind of be, whoever the viewer decides that they are.
I really appreciate you sharing all that. And I'm sure hopefully there's somebody out there listening that has that poster and can now have a, I don't know, newfound respect or enjoyment out of it. Like, oh shit,
Yeah, yeah. That was a great one.
Because you've been doing gig posters now since 2014. Going through, you got tons of festival posters. You're hitting all the major bands. You know what I'm saying, that do them. Is there a band you'd like to work with that you haven't worked with yet?
Yeah, tons. I haven't done a 311 poster yet. I'd like to do one for them. I've been a fan of theirs a long time also. Tool, I'd like to do a Tool poster.
Me too. No, I'm just kidding. I can't even draw and I want to do it too. Ween, you said?
Yeah, Ween also. Sleep, Billy Strings, Rage Against the Machine.
Oh, yeah.
I guess just more metal bands in general.
Sure.
I think, I don't think enough metal bands do the whole limited poster thing. And I think, I would like to see that happen more often, and I would like to do more of those.
Do you think that's because of lack of knowledge that they can, or do you think that because this is definitely a question I think about from time to time. It's like, let's take a band, I don't know, that doesn't do posters a lot. That definitely, all right, let's do Deftones. They have some stuff here and there, but I saw them a couple times on their recent tour and no gig poster. Like they had VIP poster, and I'm just wondering, do you think it's probably like maybe this is a question for the bands, but like what would stop a band from doing this? Because in my opinion, if I was a band, this seems like a great revenue. It gets people at your show, especially if you're having these top artists do it every different show. I'm not a huge Primus fan, but I will go to Primus shows with friends now who do love them and do love posters because I want to see what the cool art is.
Yeah.
And believe me, I have huge respect for Primus. I probably cut a little of that out. I love Les Claypool. He's a master, but I'm more inclined to go see them because of what they do with their posters. And I'm just curious on why do you think some bands don't do it? And
I don't really have a good answer to that question. I wish I did.
Fair enough.
I think I think you're right. It's not only something that I think would be worthwhile financially for any band that plays live shows, which is probably in terms of being a successful business, that's the number one reason that they would want to do it. But I think also there's a huge potential for just gaining new fans, getting your band's name in more places than ever before, the whole collectability aspect of it. I just don't see any reasons not to do it, but you're right. It seems like there's a core of maybe 20 to 30 bands that are doing this consistently, and then every other band just doesn't do it at all.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why,
no,
but
me neither.
maybe things will, I feel like the gig poster scene is definitely expanding in a lot of ways. So maybe we'll see more of that in the future. Who knows?
Fair enough. Because it'd be wild. Again, because you follow certain artists, and it's like, I wonder, for example, like you, I start collecting your stuff. All of a sudden, you're doing like a Miley Cyrus poster, and now I got to have a badass samurai of Miley Cyrus on my wall because you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah,
you're like,
it's
I guess
for them to gain new fans too,
right? Because why would you turn down Miley Cyrus? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
The reason I kind of was asking those questions about you coming up and building is a lot of poster artists are going to conventions now. Have you done that at all yet?
No, I've considered it, but I haven't actually made it happen yet. I almost went to the Sonic Temple Festival it would have been 2021, because I had done the poster or a poster for that event. But then the event got canceled due to COVID, and the poster didn't happen. The festival didn't happen, and obviously I wasn't able to be there as a vendor. But I did a lot of prep work for that, and I was almost going to do it, or I was going to do it until it got canceled. But I don't know. It's probably something I'll get into as I do more and more posters, and um,
What what would
you know,
what would attract you to going to a convention? So I'm guessing you're in LA.
no, I'm in upstate New York.
That's right. What am I thinking? I know the time zones. I set this meeting up. Your hat threw me off. So yeah, I guess what would entice you to come to a convention? Do you just need the amount of product, I guess, or
Yeah, that would be part of it. Having enough posters to make it worth going.
Mhm.
You know, I'm thankful that I don't have a whole lot of inventory. So to go to a convention, I see guys like, well, I don't know, whoever, but they'll get a vendor booth set up and they'll have all their posters behind them that they're selling at the show, and it's like 50 posters, and they got to have at least a handful of copies of each one of those.
Yeah.
And I just don't have that much inventory. Either I haven't been doing this long enough, or I've had a few, I've been grateful to have a few posters sell out, so I just don't have any more to sell. Maybe when I, do this for longer and build up my inventory more, that would make more sense. The main reason I would do it right now, I guess, is just to network with other poster artists
Right.
and kind of meet the people that buy the posters, meet customers, meet fans, and just kind of, have that sort of face to face with other people in the scene, other artists. I've been able to meet a few different artists in the poster scene, but it's always been it's all online. Never face to face because nobody lives where I live.
Who are
And I haven't done it
who,
or
who
anything.
who are some of your favorite gig poster artists?
Oh, there's a lot. Let's see. Ken Taylor, probably one of my top favorites. Daniel Danger, um, Drew Millward is a favorite. Um, Dave Clock, Aaron Horkey, Florian Berber, although he doesn't really do too many gig posters, but he's one of my favorites just as an artist. Um, Bernie Wrightson is a huge influence on me and my work. Well, Colin Estrada, the designers at Bronca Studio in Spain, they're amazing. Dan Black from Landland, Andy Brace, he's not a gig poster artist, but he's amazing. He does comic book work, stuff like that.
So are these guys that you're starting to network with now?
Zoltron. Yeah, somewhat. I mean, I know a couple of them. I talk back and forth with Dave Clock occasionally on Instagram. I've had email conversations with Zoltron before, asking him questions about just like how do I do this? Like you've been in it a long time. You're one of the masters of the scene. And he'll give me advice from time to time, which I'm super thankful for.
Sure.
He's a super nice guy. Colin Estrada, I've talked to a couple times, I think. But
I guess why I'm asking is I'm just curious, what an artist would talk to another artist about. Like I'm guessing you stay away from art. Like you obviously have questions, but to whether I'm guessing maybe screen printing questions or just how to release certain things because another artist explained screen printing to me recently and like it finally clicked. And I'm sure at some point you had to learn that process as well, right? To like I don't know if you screen print things yourself or you get them made, but at least setting up the digital file like here's my blacks, here's my A color, B color, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And learn, do you pick your colors as you go or you do it all at the end?
I usually do it. That's usually one of the last things I do is choose color scheme. I mean, like when I'm working through, filling in the different elements in the poster with color, usually it's way off from what it eventually ends up as. It's super ugly for a long time, just because I'm, just filling shapes with whatever color keeps it separate from the thing next to it at
Gotcha.
the time. And eventually, all right, I want I want this tire to be the same color as the window on the side of the vehicle or whatever, and I'll match those, and then, you eventually just end up with, well, for me anyway, 5 to 7 different colors, and then, it's more about choosing the tone than the color at first, because you want certain things to be darker, certain things to be lighter, so that the focal points are where you want them to be. And then once you've got, for me anyway, once you've got that stuff worked out, that's when I choose, like, all right, I got my darks and lights worked out. Now let's figure out what actual colors these are supposed to be, and that's kind of the last move in the whole deal.
My question is, did you have to like take a class on this? Like, you're just experimenting, asking Zoltron questions? Like,
Yeah, kind of all of the above. I mean, I have a degree in illustration from Syracuse University, and that helped me with a lot of, the techniques I use, and the how to put the poster together visually, conceptually, and compositionally. But as far as the screen printing process and like the production aspects, that's just something I've learned over time,
trial and error,
by doing my own research and trial and error. And I did a lot of t-shirt graphics prior to getting into gig posters, and the process is the same in terms of setting up the print file for the printer, keeping different colors on different layers, color separations, all that kind of stuff. So it just kind of carries over, but in a bigger and more complex way when you get to the gig poster
side. Excuse me. Next question I have is about foils. I'm very curious about foils. Some artists I've talked to, they're like, I don't really care. They get it, like collectors really want them, but some of them think they're just like, it's messing with my shit. Like, do you have an opinion on foils in general? Do you mess with different kinds of papers and different foil papers? And do you ever draw for foil? All those.
Yeah. Foils are obviously a big part of the whole gig poster scene. I know the collectors really dig them, so it's never something that I avoid. I always want to be able to, give people what they want, as long as it's done in a way that doesn't detract from my contribution to the poster. I don't want the poster to be just a sheet of rainbow foil paper with some lines on it. I want the foil to complement the art. I personally, I also collect some gig posters sometimes. I try not to do too many, just because I don't want to have a million tubes sitting in a corner.
Like me?
Yeah. Or just, flat files just full of posters that never get to, be looked at. But for me as a collector, I tend to buy the regular edition over the foil, just because in most cases for me, I prefer that, because I don't know, I think the foil detracts a lot of times from the artwork. So when I create a gig poster, I really try hard to, from the beginning, do the artwork in a way that is going to be successful on both sides.
Gotcha.
If somebody wants the regular, it's going to look great. If somebody wants the foil version, it's still going to look great, just in a different way. I don't know, let's see, what's a good example? The first Foo Fighters poster I did with the goddess Hecate,
the
Greek goddess Hecate, with the big, rose window in the background. I designed that one from the start with the foil in mind, so that the foil would show through the window panes and in a few other areas to really enhance the artwork instead of just be a foil version of the artwork. I guess.
No, I completely understand.
So I try to do that with everyone, and sometimes it's more successful than other times. But yeah, in terms of foils, like the particular foil stock I choose, a lot of times it comes down to just what's available. Especially recently, paper stocks have been very difficult to source for the printers. And my 9 to 5 is running a print shop, not a screen print shop, but a digital print shop. And I'm, it's the same thing for me. I try to order paper, and it's like, no, we don't have any more. Don't have any of that. We have a few cartons of this. We got a few cartons of that. Do you want it? So foil stocks have been, it's difficult to get like some of the more exotic varieties. Like a lot of times you'll see not just the basic hologram, rainbow hologram or like sparkle foil, but some of the more exotic stuff that has different shapes and whatever in it.
Yeah. I've seen like an 8-bit foil or something I've seen one time.
Yeah. Some of that kind of thing.
White swirl.
Yeah. All that really exotic stuff. Sometimes it's really hard to find, so I got to kind of use with whatever I can get, or whatever the printer can get, rather. But I think I want to. I tried to do it with this last Avett Brothers poster I did. to do some specialty, very limited variants that were not foils, but different kinds of paper, like an orange butcher paper with just the line work on it as opposed to variant, or some of the weirder, I guess, French paper company types of speckle papers and stuff that would, give the artwork a cool look as a variant, but not be a variant.
I gotcha.
Not, I guess my own answer would be I'm not anti-foil. I just try to
experiment
use
with other
foil
things
in a way that's going to the art. Yeah. And,
which I think is a great
experiment with
idea.
other things. Yeah.
I think that's a great idea, because in moving forward now, I'm probably gonna look as a collector when those foils come up. My immediate is like pick a foil, just because of the limited,
because they're more limited. Yeah,
exactly. But now talking to you, it's like, okay, maybe I should question, because I won't say which poster it is, but I bought two, and I wanted the regular and I wanted a foil of, a specific poster. And when I got them, I was like, God damn it, I like the regular way more, like way, way more. And it was like a special gold foil thing. And there were only like 10 of them, and I was really happy I got it. But the one I'm going to probably end up putting up is going to be the regular. And it's like, now that you say it, I'm like, I may reconsider when I purchase things, which one I get. But nonetheless.
Yeah. The foils are, obviously the more collectible ones, because they're always more limited and whatever. And people, sometimes pay crazy prices for them. And it's, in terms of being on the artist side, I mean, it's great to be able to provide that for people, something to get people excited. But it's just something that, for me, I just always want to do it in a way that's, the foil is going to be great in its own right, and not just the foil version of the regular.
Gotcha. So, talking about these collectors and crazy prices, I'm guessing you've had some experience now with like flippers, right? And
yeah.
It's hard to even pick a place to start with them. But as an artist, like, how does that? I've never really asked people, an artist, about flippers yet. I'm curious on why I haven't. But just your thoughts on like aftermarkets and crap like that. Does it piss you off?
Not really. I mean, I would prefer that every poster I sell gets into the hands of a real fan, either a fan of the band or a fan of myself. I don't care, or both, that's preferably. But, the secondary market is always going to be there. There's nothing you can do about it. If somebody buys a poster, they obviously have the right to resell it, how they see fit. That's their, that's their right. And I'm not going to dispute that, but it is frustrating to see. The worst part of it for me is to, talk to someone beforehand, before I sell my copies of the posters or whatever. They're real excited about getting one. The bots and the flippers grab them all instantly, and the person that really wanted one, even not even the foil one, but even just a regular one, doesn't have the opportunity to get one at the regular price. And they have to go to eBay and buy one from a flipper for 5 or 6 times the cost. And then, they've put a whole bunch of money into it, and it just is kind of a sad thing to see, that someone who's a true collector, a true fan of the artwork, true fan of the band, can't get one without paying a ridiculous amount of money for it.
Yeah.
And, that's the worst part of it. But I don't really see much of a way around it. I've gone through, like, sometimes if I have a poster that, sells out real quick, I'll, obviously there's bots involved in a lot of them. And I go through my orders and I try to figure out, like, which orders could be bot orders. I'll set up limits and stuff like other artists do, like one per household, one per address, or whatever. One per person. But they figured out ways around that where they can, like,
P.O. box it and stuff.
Yeah. P.O. boxes, or like a separate credit card for each one that they buy, a separate name, a separate address. And there's no way to prove, like, that they violated my rule of one per household or whatever, because they're all going to different places, different credit cards, different names.
Yep.
So it's like, I can't, in my, I can't.
You're just one guy, and you're not a tech genius.
Yeah. I mean, and it's, I can't in good conscience cancel any orders that aren't an outright violation of my one per household rule, and that never shows up. So it's like I don't have a choice. I got to send them out. Because they may very well be three people in the same town that ordered the poster. It's a difficult situation, and I haven't figured out a good way to kind of get around that stuff. But
I don't think anyone has.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, I saw email put up.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure you saw it. I see the poster in the background.
Yeah. I won that one, by the way. I got really lucky.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. His special flipper price of $6,000 or whatever it was.
And what was funny is I obviously wasn't at that show, but it comes out, I'm a huge fan. I'm a collector. I'm like, God, I'm never going to get a hold of that. Like, I don't have bots. Yeah. I don't have computer programs that are going to tell me when this website changes. But I know people that do. Actually, I know people that know people do. Let's put that. It's funny. I'm like, well, when you hear from your guy that knows somebody, like, it's going to take about 6 minutes, and it's already going to be. I'm like, don't worry about it. No, yeah. I got really lucky on that one. They raffled one off, and I won the raffle. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, your actually a poster is one that I missed a drop on. Like, I've been pretty good about getting most people I talk to. And I'll eventually get yours somehow, it's not impossible, just for the sake of our conversation. And again, I don't hold any ill will towards you. I see it as you win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
But as a collector,
most people are that way.
Yeah, as a collector, I will tell you this: like, I am on your website or whoever's website. I usually do it a day before. Where I'm like, all right, how does their checkout system work? What's my fastest route? And then about 10 minutes before, make sure everything's loaded up, and hopefully my credit card information can go quickly. And then at the you hit the F5 button, and you can either get through checkout quick or you can't. And on yours, I was not quick enough. But
it went fast. But it's like you said, you win some, you lose some, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how many other people are competing against you, I suppose.
From what I understand, again, me being only into this community the last year and change or so, it's the craziest it's ever been when it comes to that kind of stuff. And I think it'll wax and wane. And I think people are realizing now that they're not going to make so much. They're not going to get rich off of flipping. So I think I'm hoping it's calming down, but you never know.
Yeah. And it's different for different bands too.
Sure.
But I don't know. I've gotten messages from people, people that have tried to get my posters and have failed, and they give me, some suggestions in terms of like how to list the poster, when to list the posters to kind of, minimize the bot and flipper activity potential. And, I've utilized a lot of suggestions, but nothing is foolproof yet that I found.
Yeah.
So,
and again,
but at the same time, it's like, I don't have time or the desire to go months into researching how to
battle bots,
set up my shop to combat that stuff, because the guys that do this sort of thing, they're going to be 100 steps ahead of me anyway.
Yeah,
plus I got posters to create. I don't have time to be a web guru.
No, I coming from the guy who collects, I don't blame you at all. Like, it's not your job to combat cybersecurity. It's your job to make it's your job to make the cool art. You do the best you can. Let the
I just
chips
try to
fall.
set things up to be as fair as possible to everybody, and beyond that, I don't really have much control.
No, and I appreciate you even commenting on it. I really do. I'll get to the last couple of questions. You say you collect gig posters yourself. Specific bands or artists?
Artists. Like I got a handful up, and I got a handful in tubes. Some of them are just screen prints that aren't even band prints. Like I have 3 Daniel Danger posters sitting over here that aren't band posters at all. They're just prints that he's done that I've loved and bought. I tend to follow the artists more than the bands.
Nice. So Pussifer is doing a second leg of their tour. You got another one coming out. I know some artists are, some artists aren't. I'm guessing you do.
Yeah, I do. I can't say what date or what city it is, but I will be included on the next tour. I think I'm allowed to say that much.
Fair enough.
So I'm looking forward to that for sure.
I really appreciate the conversation. Again, look for his poster on the second leg of the tour. Do you mind doing a little plug for yourself? Where people can find you?
Yeah, sure. I tend to keep my Instagram most up to date. It's Thousand Styles or at Thousand Styles with the numbers 1000 Styles. That's where you're going to see everything from me first. My website, thousandstyles.com, all spelled out like THOUSAND styles.com. Then I keep up to date there, not quite as often, but everything usually shows up there from, eventually. But yeah, you can get to my web store through the website, and that's pretty much it. I mean, I appreciate everything. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Anybody that was interested enough to see what I have to say about my process and my work, and thanks to you very much for interviewing me in the first place. It's always great to.
The thanks are all mine. First of all, last thing I forgot to mention, I'm a big Mars Attacks fan.
Oh yeah,
and you obviously have the Mars Attacks. I seen you do that. I just wanted to say that I don't really have any other questions. I mean, other than fucking A. My lady, huge Mars Attacks fan too, and I got her these custom, like, I found an artist and she made these custom purses that are all Mars Attacks, cool. And I love it. We got a couple in the living room, Mars Attacks posters from artists.
Yeah.
Love that movie. Love that movie more than I love Tim Burton. and I live in Vegas, so that's kind of a Vegas staple too.
Yeah, because the whole desert. Yeah. Right. Yeah, I love it too. I love the whole vibe. Yeah, it's great.
So again, thank you, Dan Dippel and AKA 1000 Styles for coming on, and check out his Instagram shop. Buy his posters, buy his regular art, pins. I think you have on there, all T-shirts. Do all that.
Yeah.
And
do different things. Yeah.
Thank you for listening. Don't go anywhere.
All right.
I'm just
going to.
Spiral Out Podcast is produced by me, your host, Chris West, edited by me, researched by me. Everything is pretty much just done by me. Go to our website, spiraloutpod.podbean.com. Follow us on Instagram at spiral_out_pod. Facebook, Spiral Out Podcast. And again, if you want to see some of the images associated with this episode, click the link in the show notes and it'll take you there. Again, thank you for listening. Spiral Out. Pod dismissed. Wait, that's another show.